I'm Linda Conway. I'm the Executive Director of the New England Newspaper and Press Association. And today's webinar is Who is Winning the Revenue War and Why? We're very fortunate to have Peter Lamb, President of Lamb Consulting, here with us today. Peter's going to relate some of the best practices from sales reps around the world. Peter's been in this business for over 30 years, and we're very fortunate to have him here today. I'm going to turn it right over to you, Peter.
Linda, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Good morning, everybody, and a very warm and a happy Thursday morning from South Florida. I'd normally make some comment about you guys are up in the Northeast and it's cold, but I know it's the middle of summer. Let me start with a couple of housekeeping issues. Number one, I apologize up front. I do speak very fast. I have a limited amount of time to try and get through quite a lot of information. I do have a funny accent, so I apologize for that. I'm going to try and really slow down as much as I possibly can. For those of you that have been to any of my sessions before, my sessions are a little bit different. There will be periodic tests during the morning. And let me give you the grading scale. Grading scale is the following. If you grade yourself a 10, that means you are doing really, really well. Congratulations. If you grade yourself a 0, it means you need some help. And the reason we do that up front, there are 1 or 2 people on this call that I do know, so more than likely I'll follow up with you next week and say, hey, if you happen to be at Republican, tell me exactly how did you grade yourself. So there'll be a few tests, know that they're coming, and you will get a follow-up. My goal today, teach you 1 or 2 nuggets to make some more income. As businesses prepare to open, some of them close and reopen, the goal is to teach you how to leverage the current situation. Most of all, my goal is to ensure that you understand at the end how to be memorable. For those of you who've been selling for a while, you know that is the key point on great salespeople. When you're memorable, you can easily get past the gatekeeper. You have no problem getting an appointment. So again, overall goal, give you a couple of nuggets, generate some more income, make yourself memorable. So test number 1. If you're taking notes, which I hope some of you are, write the letters down TLC. And if you said that stands for Tender Loving Care, that is not correct. This is actually a sales training publisher session, not anything else. TLC stands for Think Like the Customer. Okay? If we were doing this in a setting up in Boston, I would say to you, there's an empty chair at the front of the room and ask you who that empty chair is for. That is your customer. If you're home right now working in your living room or you're sitting at the pool or you're in Martha's Vineyard, I want you to pretend that your customer is sitting right next to you. Pretend that your customer is sitting there listening to what you're hearing and thinking what you're going to say to them and what they're saying as I'm talking. Okay? Think like the customer. I always talk about companies in the world that you think are really good. Again, we don't have time to go into that. I would make the venture that Amazon's one of the best. Simple reason that their belief is you start with the customer and you move backwards. So again, here's test number 2 for the day. Think about what you and your company have done since March. Every initiative you've been through, everything you've done, has it been for you to make more money or has it been for the customer? Have you thought about every new product, every special project, every section, everything you've done since March? What has been the motivation? Did you think like the customer? So again, very important. Everything I talk about for the next 30 minutes, 35 minutes or so is going to be focused on thinking about the customer, what they're thinking, what they're doing, what they want to hear from you, etc. Okay? So much introduction. Let's move on. One of my clients said to me in early March, Pete, I don't quite get this. You know, my reps are saying to me that the customers don't want to hear from me. My customers are tied up, they're confused, they're paranoid, they don't want to hear. Let me give you the research. Absolutely, your customers do want to hear from you. Why? You are their trusted partner. You are their link to the outside world. They want to hear from you, but they want to hear from you on their conditions. Number 1, they do not want to be sold. So if you're calling to talk to them this great special project you have and this great event, they don't want to hear that. What they want from you is the ability for them to vent, the ability for you to listen to them, and most importantly, the ability for you to give them options how to make it better. Let me slow down, okay? They do not want to be sold. Okay? You are their link to the outside world. Your role is to give them some options how you could make it better for them through COVID and beyond. Okay? Your job in the call like that is to educate them what's currently happening in your company, what's happening elsewhere. In pure marketing language, it's a teaching moment for you with your customer. So let me digress. Go off script for a second. If you're writing something down, write down the word ladder, L-A-D-D-E-R. before I venture into talking about existing customers and how to get new customers, let me give you the roadmap. Exactly what does ladder actually stand for? This is the way you actually integrate with your customer. L stands for look them in the eye. A little bit harder if you're doing on Zoom, but again, if those of you that have the ability of making face-to-face calls, the question is, if you cannot look your customer in the eye, what do they think of you? Easy answer. They don't trust you, they don't believe you, you're not confident, you won't get the business. A, ask questions. We'll talk about that in a little bit more detail, but let me give you test number 5. I'll lose track. There's a differentiation I'll always make in my training sessions between great reps and average reps. So let me tell you the scenario and you answer the question, what does a great rep do? What does an average rep do? Here it goes. You've asked the customer a really tough question, probably about their budget. They're not answering. They know the game. Ladies and gentlemen, your customers know the game. They know that if they take long enough to answer the question, you will open your mouth and say something to lose the sale. So they're taking their time. So what does the average rep do? They've asked the question, customers taking their time, they're getting frustrated. There are 3 things the average rep does. If you've guessed them right, write them down. But here's what they do. Number 1, they either ask another question. Number 2, they answer the question for the customer. Number 3, they paraphrase the question. Any of the 3 options you just used, you have successfully managed to infuriate and tick off the customer, and you won't get the business, right? Any of those options you believe they're dumb, that's why you have to paraphrase it. Your job is to wait. So the whole idea is wait. If you want a quick little tip, if you saw me sitting right now, I have a rubber band on my wrist. When I know the customer's taking too long and I have to exercise some patience, I keep pushing the rubber band, knowing full well, if I count, they eventually will talk. The rule of thumb is the following. You ask the question, you shut up, because the next person to talk loses. That's the whole idea. Let them talk. Wait. Remember, your role with them is to get them to talk, to listen to them. The 2 Ds. This is where most reps have failed and are mostly of them average. And it's even worse now. We'll be doing a lot of Zoom calls and doing phone calls, not in person. D number 1, do not change the subject. D number 2, do not interrupt. Customer's a big Patriots fan. Even though I live down in Miami, I won't say anything about that. Customer wants to talk about the Patriots, all the people that opted out. You have a deadline. You change the subject. You are done. You interrupt them when I talk about the Celtics. You are done. The whole idea is let them talk. Do not interrupt them. E, empathize. No, understand how you feel, Mr. Customer. I know if you don't understand the word empathy, explain to them. You understand what they're going through. R is the toughest one of them all. Respond. Why you say, Peter, that's kind of stupid. Why would you put that as the rules of the road? Well, I make 50 days of sales calls a year in the field, and you would be shocked how many times the customer asks a question about, let's say it's digital, something on programmatic. Explain to me how programmatic works. The average rep, when they don't know the answer, they do 2 things. They make the answer up or they lie. For some of you, I could see you now, you're probably laughing, go, yep, I did that before. The great rep wins and they say, you know what, I don't have that answer. If you have a smart humor like me, you'll say, that's above my pay grade. I'll get back to you within 24 hours. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the rules of the road in conversation with your customer. That is what they need right now. Again, test number 6, grade yourself on that. How well do you do on your regular call? Look them in the eye. How great do you prepare with your questions? Do you interrupt? Do not interrupt. Most managers have fun with that because that's the biggest failing. Do not change the subject, empathize, and respond. Grade yourself, take a second. Grade yourself 0 to 10 on each one of them. If we were together in a class now, I would say, okay, if you graded yourself 8 and above, tell me why. If you graded yourself 5 and below, tell me why. But I don't have time to do that. Okay, let's move on. Interaction during COVID with your existing customers. Bear in mind, number 1, you have a relationship with them already. They know you. You've been helping them. If you've done the process correctly, let's just call it the Peter Lamb process for a second. And when you met them, you were a detective when you went into their building and you looked around their room and you saw what the interests were and you saw they like golf and like to fish and you saw pictures of the kids and you asked them about that. If you did that right and you built that relationship up front, now is the time, and let me slow down. Now is the time to leverage it. So Linda, I know times are tough. I'm just curious. How are Jackie and Jenny doing in terms of not going back to school? Okay. Number 1, they'll say, wow, Peter remembers the kids' names. That's pretty awesome. Number 2, I know you like to golf and golf courses just opened up. Did you manage to golf at all? Make it personal up front and make it easier to talk. Okay. You're memorable when you go into talking about a personal situation first. And again, if you know the kid's name, ask. It's a big topic now, as it is up there, as where I am. Are kids going to go back to school? Let them talk. You have nothing else to do right now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're working from home, than to let your customer talk and get to know them better. Don't rush, okay? This is the time to leverage all the information you've had about kids' birthdays and everything else, kids going to school, what the hobbies are. Now, let's go into the list of questions. Let me slow down. Remember, you have the relationship. This is not a cold call. You've worked with them before. They know where you are. Question number one. So I'm just curious, Scott, given everything happening with COVID, what takes up most of your time? Let them tell you. While the business has changed, I've laid people off. Let them talk about what takes up most of their time. Number two, what have you done since March to increase, grow, or promote your business? Now, you know what they've done with you. They may have done nothing. They may have done a couple of pages. They may have done some digital. What else have they done? Let them tell you what else they have done to promote and grow their business. Scott, look, going forward, what do you think your top 2 or 3 marketing challenges are? Now, if you're dealing with a mom and pop, they're going to have to think about this. So again, let them think. What do you believe your top 2 or 3 marketing challenges are? Let them answer. And they may say, getting my business reopened, getting my customers back, getting my staff back. I mean, there could be a whole plethora of answers. Your job is to listen to the answer, write it down. Last question, second last question. Given what's been happening in the past 3 months, what have been your top selling products and services? Knowing full well that if you're a restaurant, inside dining is not top, carry out delivery might be, there might be different options. Let them tell you, let's not assume, definition of assume, make an ass out of you and me. Let them tell you what their top selling products and services are. Last one, a little bit out of the ordinary, and some of you are gonna go, I can't ask that. No, you wanna ask that. Given what happened since March, what charities or causes have you subscribed to or do you endorse? What charities, what causes do you subscribe to? They may say, I run a food bank. Let them talk about what else they've done to help. Let's tell you the reason for that. When people talk about charities and causes they believe in, number one, you touch their heart. When they talk about the emotion, you've hit a nerve and you'll get to know them a little bit better. Okay, that's the existing customer. Done the work, you've done your basic needs analysis. Very simple questions. Find some variation of the above, and this is how you end the call. So Scott, if I heard you correctly, this is what you said. So if you've taken notes, like I have notes in front of me, read back everything they said to you, especially what their marketing challenges are, because that's what you're going to come back with to give them some options. Okay? Now, here's where it gets interesting. If you know them well enough, and you believe that you're confident well enough in what you understand about your publications business, give them some options right there and then. You know what, Scott? I've been in a couple of webinars lately. I've talked to a company out in Texas and a company out in California, and what they've done for your type of business is X, Y, and Z. If you're confident to do that, boom, do the proposal right there. For most reps, I tell them, I would wait, buy yourself some time and say the following. I appreciate the information. Let me go back to the office. If you have an office, let me confer with my team of experts. Listen to my words, ladies and gentlemen. Let me have a meeting with my team of experts and come back to you with some options how we can meet those challenges. Let me go back, and this is what the customer heard. Remember, everything this morning is about the customer. This is what the customer heard you say. I have a team of yes, I'm in Vermont. Yes, I'm in New Hampshire. Yes, I'm in Connecticut, but I have a team of experts back in my office that'll help me. And if you want to get even more specific, you can say, I've got a print expert, I've got a digital expert, I've got a social expert, and I've got a mobile expert. They may all be the same person. You don't have to tell them that. But we have a team of experts that I'm going to engage in my office to make sure we have the best options for you. Okay? That's the existing customer. It's a little bit easier. A little bit easier because you know them and you, again, let me reemphasize, if you know them well enough and you're confident that you know exactly what will help their business and what will help them get marketing challenges, give them the option right there and then, okay? Most times, buy yourself some time, and let me tell you, if you're making face-to-calls, give you a quick little tip. This is the best I've seen anywhere in the world. If you're going to come back and give them proposal in person, and you're talking to them face-to-face with a mask on, take your cell phone. I have my phone in my hand. Take your phone out, and say, let's look at your calendar. When you do that, what they will do is instinctively, they will take their phone, their iPhone, and you'll make an appointment right there and then for next week. For those of you who've been selling for a while, you're probably going, never thought about that. Because what normally happens, if you wait to contact them tomorrow or next week to via email or phone to set the appointment, it takes you 4 or 5 tries. Set the appointment right there and then, even when you're on Zoom, like I am right now. You can take your phone out and say, Linda, grab your phone real quick. Let's look at next week. Boom, conversation's done. You have the appointment scheduled. That, ladies and gentlemen, is probably one of the best I've ever seen in never missing out an appointment and getting it done right away. Okay, clap hands, let me go. I've done with my existing. Let's talk about prospecting. Peter, it's tough. We're in the middle of COVID. I don't know how to do that. People don't really want to hear from me. So let me give you a formula of how to approach a prospect. Number 1, you should be able to go ahead and get a list from your local chamber in terms of what businesses that are open or am opening up. Okay, you have to. Getting a list is the easiest part. Let me walk you through the script and let me slow down. Good morning, Scott. My name is Peter. I'm doing a survey on behalf of the Express. We would like to determine the impact on COVID on your business and how we at the Express could be of help to you. Do you have a couple of minutes that I can ask you some questions? Short, sweet, to the point. 90% of the time, the person's going to say yes because you identified, you said survey, and you said a couple of minutes. Now, the language I use is my language. And remember, I'm South African English. So I use different words. Use words that are more pertinent to Connecticut, New Hampshire, Vermont, and Massachusetts. Maybe you'll just say, do you have a couple of minutes to spare? I don't know. But tell them up front, it's a couple of minutes. I promise I won't take more than 5, and I'm doing a survey. And they usually will say, absolutely, I have time for that, especially when you identify who you with. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Right away, I slow my voice down. Scott, if you don't mind, am I allowed to just ask you a quick personal question? I trust that you and your family are healthy and surviving the craziness. Okay. Simple. They may just say yes, everything's fine. They may go ahead and take 5 minutes to answer. Remember what I said up front. They want to be able to vent. They want to be able to have you listen to them. I trust that you and your family are healthy and surviving all the craziness. Simple words. Again, you find your words that sets the stage. Great. Then you go into your questions. And again, I'm going to give you a few. You choose which ones you are more comfortable asking. Same thing. What have you done in the past 2 months or 3 months to promote and grow your business? Any kind of answer works. You're just doing a survey. Number 2, did you manage to retain your most valuable customers? Number 3, who are they? Why are we doing that? We want to get into their head. Remember, it's a prospect. Who they believe the most valuable customers are. What takes up most of your time? We talked about that already. What are your top 3 marketing challenges for the next 3 to 6 months? We talked about that one already. Okay. This is one where it gets interesting. If you feel that they're, and this is where you have to read the customer if you're on Zoom or watch them if you're face to face or listen. Tough question coming up. You ask them, when people talk about your business, Scott, what do they say they like? When people talk about your business, Scott, what do they say they like? I didn't say, what do they say? I said, what do they say they like? They may say service. They may say pricing. Whatever they say, they're going to give, I'll give you an example. Let me see if I have time. Yeah, here's the example. If it's a motorcycle repair shop, this is the kind of answers they're going to have. Service, pricing, I'm open on Sundays, great location, reliability, professional. You as the rep, when they're answering the question, you are thinking about what that full page, half page, or that campaign looks like, right? You're giving them not what they believe, but what the customers believe. So you want to ask that question really, really simply. Okay? Ask the question again about causes. Ask the question about charities. And if you feel comfortable, I mean, the last one I would ask, if you feel comfortable and you feel you have a good relationship on the phone with them and you haven't passed 5 minutes, this is the one you want to ask. So Scott, I'm just really, really curious. I appreciate you taking the time. What motivated you to get started in your business? If you're Canadian, what inspired you to get started in your business? You pick the word you like. What motivated you? What inspired you? They will talk about their parents and their grandparents where the business started, and what will happen is they'll end up talking a lot about where the business started and what they've been through during COVID, which is exactly what you want. Remember, the rule of thumb with a great sales rep, as long as the customer's talking, you're going to get the business. As long as you're opening your big fat mouth, you won't get the business. We don't care what they're talking about. As long as they're talking, they like you, you'll get the business. So then, last question you say to them, you know, I'm right out of time, Scott. Do you have any questions for me? 9 times out of 10, they're not going to have. They might ask you something. Be ready and talk about whatever the question might be. They might say something like, great survey. There are a couple of things you should ask me as well about my business. This is what you do then, okay? Let me tell you what the next step is, Scott. I'm gonna, again, talk to my team. We're gonna come up with some options how we can go ahead and meet the challenges you have, how we can help you get more of those valuable customers. And one of 2 things will happen. Either I will call you back next week and give you some options, or one of our team members will. Either of the above. You go, okay, well, it's a survey, which means it could be me calling you back. It could be one of my team calling back. One of us will call back and walk you through the options, what we can do to help make it better, okay? Done that, ask them the questions. If I heard you correctly, this is what you said. Review exactly everything you have in your notes. You're done. You have all the information you need. Okay, what do we do now? Gets good. Now you go back to the office, you do a little bit of research. You ask yourself, if you have access to Pulse Research, take a look at the category. If you don't know what Pulse Research is, ask somebody in the group. I'm sure you do. Look at the category, look at the purchasing patterns, look at what the gross profit is, look at Burrell data. Your job now is go back to the office and do your homework. Remember, they're expecting a proposal. They're expecting that you're gonna come back and help solve their top 2 or 3 marketing challenges. Pulse is one thing. Burrell, whatever data you have access to your company, take a hard look at it and find out how it applies to them. 2 other data points I want to give you that I know you're not expecting. 1, if you've done anything with branded content, make sure you understand it. If you've not done anything with branded content, take a long, hard look what branded content means. It means the following. If your customer wants to educate, inform, and engage with their customers and go ahead and convince them, you want to look at branded content. It's a great option to put in your proposal. Number 2, look at events. With the fact that he has a furniture store, would it be better that we actually had an event there? Would it be better that we had an event for them that we have as part of the proposal? Both of those 2 initiatives I just gave you are getting lots of traction around the country and around the world, especially during COVID. So I just say, take a look at it, see how it applies to what you learned from the customer, and move on. We're in the proposal stage. Let's get to the fun part. Where are we? Let me grab a quick cup of coffee. It is early in the morning. What have we done so far? We've gone in, we've talked to the existing customer, we've talked to them on Zoom, we've talked to them on the phone, we've talked to a brand new customer, we understand what they're looking to do. You've reestablished the relationship with the existing customer. The new guy kind of likes you because you stuck to your promise of only staying there for 4.5 minutes. Now they are expecting a proposal. Let me walk you through this. Now I'm going to slow down, look at my time, dramatically. This is what I call the 12-minute proposal, the 12-minute presentation. Why? Your customer is expecting you to come in there for 40 minutes and go through a PowerPoint. The best proposals in the world that I've worked with are 12 minutes long. And you're probably saying to yourself, Peter, how in the world do you pull that off? Well, let me tell you. What's entailed in the 12 minutes? There are 5 points that you want to cover in a 12-minute proposal. And maybe I'll let you have 15 minutes if it's a question and answer after that. Point number 1, the heading is your need. So Scott, when I met with you last week, this is what you said your need was. This is what your pain point was. You wanted to get more customers. You wanted to promote a little bit more of this portion of your business. This is what you said you really wanted my help with. Remember, I asked about marketing challenges, and they're going to say, absolutely, Peter. That's right. That's exactly what I need. Point number 2, let me tell you why you should use us. I work for the Republican. Why should you use us? And then you walk through all the stats. The Pulse Research stats, some of the Burrell stats, whatever data information, whatever demographic information you have, how long you've been in the market. No more than 4 or 5 bullet points to tell them this is the reason why they should use you. Let me catch my breath because I have to slow down. The way you end this section of the presentation is you say the most important reason why you should use our company is me. And they'll kind of look at you and go, what does that mean? Well, because I am the person that is your point person to getting this done. It's not my boss. It's not the publisher. It's not Linda at NENPA. No, I am your client. And what you do is you change your voice. If you face to face, you slap yourself in the back and said, the most important reason is that I am your person that'll take care of it all. And give a couple of examples of companies that you have worked with and you've helped them. makes an impression right away that you will actually put it in blood. The most important to be your company is you, okay? Point number one, their need. You want to slap them around right away and tell them why they're talking to you. Number two, why should you use us? Okay, number three, let me slow down. This is affectionately known in different parts of the world as the Happy Meal part of my presentation. So you say to your customer, do you have any chance of young kids or young grandkids? Yeah, of course I do. Favorite place to eat? Ah, it's easy, Peter, McDonald's. Favorite menu item? Peter, that's easy, Happy Meal. So Scott, do you understand how the Happy Meal originated, what it entails? Sure, okay. McDonald's decided many years ago that the niche they were gonna go after to make the most amount of money was kids. And they designed a Happy Meal. French fries, hamburger, drink, apple slices, and a toy. Scott, do you have any idea what the pricing of that is? Sure I do, Peter, it's $4.99. Scott, do you know when you separate all 5 of those items out what the price would be? No, I don't. Well, actually, it's probably double. Really? Yeah. So what McDonald's did is they came up with a Happy Meal. Translation to your language and my language, a package or a bundle. They have a Happy Meal that entices you to buy certain of their products in the format they want. Now, if you wanted to have the 6-piece versus the 4-piece chicken nugget meal, guess what? It costs more. And they'll go, aha, I get it. I understand the Happy Meal concept. So let me explain my proposal to you, Scott. I have package A and package B, or option A and option B. Happy Meal A, Happy Meal B. If you're creative and you want to be a little risky, which somebody did in a call yesterday, when you get to that part of the presentation and you're walking, actually bring a McDonald's Happy Meal in, or show the McDonald's logo. Happy Meal. Happy Meal number A is the following. I believe this is the way we can help you overcome your challenges. Number one, there's some print option. Number two, there's mobile. Number three, there's some digital. Number four, there's social, okay? That right there is X amount of money per month. Listen to me carefully. It's a monthly arrangement, $3,000 a month, and it's a 6-week contract I'm offering you. It's not weekly, it's monthly, and this is what you get for that monthly investment, okay? Option number B, okay? A little bit more ROP. We'll throw a little branded content there, a couple of articles, and who knows, now I think you probably are ripe for an event. That's $5,000 a month, okay? Happy Meal A, Happy Meal B. They won't have any questions because they completely understand. If you notice how long I've taken, I am on 8 minutes right now and explaining to you exactly, without getting into all the details, exactly what this proposal entails. Any questions in that, Scott? Of course not, Peter. I completely understand what Happy Meal is. I understand the product. What's now? The number 5th point is the next step, okay? Couple of things we can do from here. Scott, you like what you see? Again, if you as the rep have the confidence that we've done the homework, this is the right option, you've talked to your team of experts, you understand branded content, you understand the event, this is it, close right there. You don't need to come back. If you want them to give it a little bit of time to think it through, okay, the next step right now, I'm gonna be back out here next week, you have it come back and say that my gut says to me when you've done this amount of homework, get it done, okay? So let me just go through it again, quickly. Point number 1. Your need. You have said during these COVID times, your marketing challenges are boom, 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 usually 4 or 5 points. Do you agree? Yes, I do. Number 2, why should you use us as opposed to all the other options you have? Boom, boom, boom. Most important reason to use us? Me. I am the guy, I am the gal that's gonna go in and take care of your business and make sure you get the results. Number 3, this is the proposal. Happy Meal, option A, option B. Number 4, this is the investment page. Investment, not cost. Option A, $3,000 a month. Option B, $6,000 a month. Number 5, the next step. You know, if you're confident, take the contract out, get it sold right there. Ladies and gentlemen, I am at 10 minutes on my presentation. That's what we did. That is the 12-minute presentation to go ahead and get that done, right there and then. If he has any questions, he or she has any questions, we'll have 3 minutes left for Q&A. Okay? I want you to think about that. Let me tell you what happens. I've done many of those live with customers and with reps, multiple ones. This is what the customer says. That's it? What happened to the 45 minutes? Everybody else comes in and takes 45 minutes. Wow, you're done. Yep. I always say, did I miss something? No, you didn't. You covered everything. Well, exactly. The format's different than most people want to do, but you covered all the points. You smacked them in the face and said, this is what you said your need and your pain is, this is why it's us, and this is what I can do for you. Boom. And 9 times out of 10, if done correctly, the process from what we talked about at 11 o'clock to right now, business gets done. Okay? Here we go. Let me switch gears on you. The last topic of the day. Great reps and average reps. The question I always get asked around the world is, Peter, you know what? You do get to work with different companies. You do get to work in different countries. Is there any commonality in terms of what the great reps do and what the average reps do? So let me give you my answer. What I've done is that I do a profile every year of reps that usually make in excess of 150, 200 grand a year in different parts of the world, and take a look at what they do. So I'm going to give you the profile. And as I give you the profile, you ask yourself, again, grade yourself. 0, boy, do I need some help with that. I'm way behind on the curve. 10, you know what? I'm pretty much up there. Number 1, great reps in the world have passion. They eat. I don't know if Mark's in the call, but for those of you who know Mark French, you know, if he's not there, we'll pick at him and give him a hard time. Mark is passionate about this business. He eats, drinks, and sleeps this business. You cannot be around him without him talking about the business. Great reps, it oozes out of them, okay? They are absolutely passionate about selling, advertising, helping. Now I can go on, okay? Number 1, passion. Number 2, this is where a lot of people struggle. Product confidence. Listen carefully, I'm slowing down. I did not say product knowledge. My friend, the customer, doesn't really care how much you know about programmatic, or about branded content, or about instant articles. They don't care. They don't care about any of the above. What they care about is that you are so confident in your product options and what you give them that you'll stand by it. That's why you say, I am the person. So my question to you, ladies and gentlemen, is how confident are you, not in your knowledge of the product, but in how it would help your customers get the results they want? Number 2, product confidence. Number 3, great reps love objections. Okay? Why? Because the great reps, like a great athlete, they say, let the games begin. Objection means that they didn't say no, they've given you more data to think about, and you really want it. Okay? Great reps always love objections. It gives them another data point to do some more research, to go back and get some more information and make it better. Okay? Great reps love objections. Number 4, it's a little bit harder given COVID times, but I've got to say it anyway. This is my pet peeve. Great reps always request a field ride for their manager to accompany them. And I'm going to slow down and talk about pre-COVID times. So a rep that I work with down in Fort Lauderdale makes way too much money, requests every month 1 full day that his manager spends the day in the field with him. His name's Wayne. And I used to say to Wayne, I'm just curious. You make so much money. You're really good. Why do you need Suzanne to come with you in the field? He goes, Peter, you know what? And again, as you probably know, the great reps are slightly on the arrogant side. I'll be very nice because this is streaming live. And he said, I know that almost any customer situation I go into, I can close them, but usually I will do it my way. When Suzanne is with me, I play it right down the middle, and I follow the process that you've taught to the T and to the letter. Okay? I just need somebody there observing me. So here's my challenge to you. When's the last time you asked your manager for field ride? Well, Peter, we can't spend by in the field. Great. Ask him to sit in your Zoom call. And the whole idea is not that your manager goes there to close an elephant hunt for you. The whole idea of taking them with you is them to observe what's happening, set your esteem for you, love the customer, give them some more attention, and help you in little finer points. When is the last time you asked your manager, you know what, I've got a half a day of cold calls coming up. Why don't you plug into my Zoom or Microsoft Teams or whatever you're using and listen to what I'm doing, give me some advice. If you haven't done it, again, grade yourself 0 to 10. I'm not going to do that. Great reps win every contest. Usually, and we'll talk about this with the managers next week, usually when companies want to design contests, I'm the guy they asked how to design them. So it's easier to design a contest on revenue because usually the type A reps, the bigger accounts win. So we always try and alternate the criteria. Revenue per account, new accounts that never run, new categories. The great rep doesn't matter or doesn't care what the contest is, they're going to win. I've had situations where the great reps knew they were not winning, came in on Saturday and Sunday, pre-COVID, brought their kids with them to close the business. That is and again, for those of you on this call that have sold for quite a while, you all know somebody like that at all costs There is no way they're going to lose any contest. They're going to win. Next week with your managers, what I'll do is talk about some contests that work really, really well. Last one. The great rep in the print world always fights for good copy. Okay? Customer's a tire dealer and says, well, I want to add 25,000 different styles of tires in my ad. It's the quarter page. Great rep says the following. Mr. Customer, I understand, but you know, it's probably a little bit better. I would advise you use the money and maybe take your wife to lunch. Very politely, not being disrespectful. Or the customer says, do you want to run one time? You know, and you and I both know one time's not going to work. And the rule of thumb today is when they're happy with you, they tell 3 people. When they're unhappy with your service, they tell Facebook and Google, okay? That's when they're unhappy. Your job is to make sure that whatever is in their ad, their program, their campaign, that it will work. And if you believe in your heart it's not going to work, walk away. Remember, think like the customer. Walk away. Because when you walk away, this is what happens. They pick up the phone, they talk to their spouse, they talk to their friends, they talk to their business partner and say, you're not going to believe what happened. This rep came in here today from the Statesman, and you know what? They wouldn't take my money. They really walked away, wouldn't take my money. And then they'll explain why. You will get them back within 6 weeks. Guaranteed. Because you'll go back there because your integrity has been preserved, because you said it will not work. It will not get the desired results that you're looking for. I apologize. It's not a good usage. I can't take it. Walk away. Okay? That's what a great rep looks like. Last one. I said 5, I'll give you 6 or 7. Activity. Okay? I'm not going to tell you, man, you tell me. How many calls did you make today so far? We started at 11. How many calls are you going to make this afternoon? Okay? The number's 30. And I apologize for all the publishers on the call if I'm offending you or stepping out of line. You know, the number for most of my clients around, it's 30 calls a day. Peter, I can do 30 calls a day. Yeah, you can. Even face-to-face, you can do 30 calls a day because you know that of the 30 calls you make, at least 15 are going to be a multiple of 15 seconds. Don't want to talk to you, get out of my face, don't like you, don't like your boss, can't stand the cologne you're wearing, leave. 30 calls get you to 3 or 4 great conversations, usually 2 proposals. But to get to 2 proposals, you need 30. I challenge you, okay? How many calls are you going to make later today? Let me wrap up. Just about on time. My challenge to you, twofold, threefold. Number 1, take some time later this evening when you're sitting with your favorite beverage, take a look at your notes that you take in your notes, and there are 2 questions you have to answer. Number 1, what are the 2 biggest lessons that I learned for the last 45 minutes from this crazy guy with his accent? You can say it's the 2 biggest lessons. You can say it's the 2 biggest aha moments, whatever you want to do. What are the 2 biggest lessons I learned? And if you want to, you can email it to Linda or email it. Linda can email it to me if you want me to look at it, or you can talk to it with your manager. Number 2, the one thing that I need to do tomorrow morning, which should be Friday morning, to get to be a better rep is, and finish the sentence. The one thing that I need to do, wherever you are in New Hampshire, wherever you are right now, to be a better rep and make Peter's great reps list is, and finish it. Again, cover that with your manager, your publisher, cover that with Linda, cover it with me wherever you want to. And I know Linda has a question. The last thing I'll say before I open for Q&A is the following. My last challenge to you, it is now 11:40, a few hours left in the day. I challenge you to make 5 calls the rest of the day, okay? And practice one thing you learned. Whether it's a question I asked, whether it's the question about the charities, and that's the easy one. Just call your existing customers and say, hey, I heard this guy with a funny accent talking on a webinar this morning, and he said I had to ask this question. Can I practice on you? Your customers say, of course you can practice on me. Ask them what charities, causes do you subscribe or endorse? I heard this crazy guy. If you want to get really fun, because some of you may know me, I heard this crazy black guy with a funny accent talk this morning, and he said I needed somebody to practice. Can I practice on you? Practice on 5 customers this afternoon, and practice 1 or 2 of the questions I taught you, and see what happens. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. I will take any questions as I drink some more of my throat. Linda?
I actually didn't have any questions yet, but I really, really enjoyed your presentation. If anybody has any questions, please go ahead and type them into the chat room now. But I did want to make a couple of notes here. Pulse Research, you mentioned going back and using Pulse Research. We had Sammy Paper on a webinar a few weeks ago, and what he did is he offered free tools, free Pulse Research tools to everybody. So if anybody is on the call and didn't attend the webinar a few weeks ago, go ahead and look at the recording on our website and watch Sammy's presentation and sign up for access to the free tools. It's not in an unlimited amount, but it's for a specified amount of time to be able to use the tools and see how great they are. But,
let me just interrupt you for a second. I've done work with Pulse since the 80s. I think I was their third customer in Miami many years ago. Let me tell you what Pulse gives you. Remember we say think like the customer? Nobody else has that data. That's number one when you use it. Number two, what it gives you access to is the purchasing patterns of your readers over the next year. What it gives you now is the purchasing patterns of your readers during COVID. It is really powerful. I mean, it's just, I didn't know you had that webinar with Sammy, so good.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think everybody's crazy not to take advantage of
completely agree.
Right now. And I have to say, I love your 12-minute proposal. Everybody loves when a meeting is much shorter and they feel like they just gain an extra 30 minutes out of the day. Yeah.
And it's funny. It's amazing how many times the customer go, "That's it? You're done?" I'm like, "Yeah. What more is it?" He goes, "Wow." And I'll explain to the group how I ended up coming up with that. I sat in the presentation in Toronto probably 5 years ago, and the rep was a pretty good rep, and she had a 50-page PowerPoint. Okay, and I was watching it was worth a lot of money to her, and all the customer did is they went to the first page, and they went to the last page, and of course, I kicked her under the table very gently and hurt her, and she kept on going, and within 5 minutes, the customer said, "I'm done. Let's go to the last page," and so that everything I've gotten to know everything else is not important. They just want to know what can you do for me. Okay, that's all. So.
Well, it also shows that you value their time too.
Yep.
If you're not going to sit there for an hour, nobody really has an extra hour in the day. I know I don't.
Well, I hope one or two of the reps in the call go ahead and practice the Happy Meal one, because it's a blast when the customer goes, "Yeah, and where's this going with the Happy Meal?" And when you explain, they go, "Aha, yes, I get it."
Yeah.
So
yeah, it simplifies the explanation so much. Everybody understands a Happy Meal.
Yep.
So that was terrific.
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I say if nobody has questions, you have my email.
Yep.
People can reach out to me if they have any other questions. So I think what normally happens, I covered so much, people are gonna digest and go, "Yeah, you know what? And that's normally which is okay, because if you were at the Hyatt in Boston, it'd be a little bit longer. This is given what we talked about, I want to try and get as much in there. And the last portion in particular about the great reps, because a lot of the reps hear it and they go, "Yeah, you know what? And they all think about people they've known and how can I get there." And I picked on Mark because you and I both know Mark's about as passionate as they come. So
I don't think I've met anybody who's passionate about everything he does.
About everything. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, no, but I love the profile of the great reps too. And I really like the idea of having your manager go out with you on the field call or on the Zoom calls, because everybody needs to keep themselves accountable.
Absolutely. And a lot of the companies I get asked a lot, how do I do that when you're managing remotely? And they're tweaking with Zoom to get into small rooms and to actually help the rep and coach the rep. So there are different companies are making it work, even though we can do face-to-face. So.
Somebody just asked a question saying, you don't have any pushback around the vagueness of the 12-minute proposal. Don't they want more details?
No. I think that the details are all in when you talk about the option, what the 4 options are. Full page RRP every second week. There's going to be an article. This is how many, programmatic, what you're going to do with the event. This is where you discuss the details. And so usually once in a while, there might be some questions. If there's ever a question, it's there, but it's never any detail in question. It doesn't derail the conversation when you go into a full-blown explanation. It's a good question.
That's it. If anybody else has anything, now's the time. Or as Peter said, just go ahead and send me an email or give me a call. We'll be sending out a follow-up email to everybody tomorrow, and we'll include a copy of the recording, and you'll have my contact information, and Yeah, Peter, thank you so much.
Linda, you're very welcome. Have a great day, everybody. Keep telling me how you practice the Happy Meal. I'm dying to find out. Take care, Linda.
Thanks
Thank you very
so
much. Kara,
much.
thank you for your help. See you next week, if not before.
Sounds great.
Okay, all the best. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.